The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendlenewtech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information. This is a test of the Boundary Park Alert System. Hello and welcome to the Boundary Park Alert System with me, Matt Dean. Here to talk about the magic of the FA Cup with me is Andy Halliwell. Hi, Andy.
FA Cup magic, Ashes series magic. It's all going off in it this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't want to dwell on the cricket, but it's not been a good weekend for you sports-wise, has it, mate?
No, I've not really enjoyed it, if I'm honest.
No,
I might start watching darts.
Yeah, I mean, the snooker's been on. I've not managed to watch any of that, but if you want to get patriotic about it, you've got two Englishmen in the final, so you can't lose there. So that's good. But yeah, it's well, let's just get this over with. Let's just for the audience's sake, this is being recorded at 7:30 on Sunday evening, so it's a late one. We've had literally all day to dwell on it and think about it. But we have a fan guest who was not a stone's throw from me at MK yesterday, a returning guest. But Andy will deliver the questions as usual.
When was your first game, fan guest?
My first game was sometime in 1984. I think it was either Plymouth or Portsmouth, but I can't find the exact date in the archives. I know Roger Palmer scored and I know we won. And I remember clinging from the rusty iron gates at the front of the Chaddy end. And that's about all I remember of it. So, yeah, however many years ago that was, quite a lot, 41 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a rite of passage clinging to those gates for everybody, wasn't it? Back in the day.
Yeah.
Who was your first favourite player in the 80s?
Just to be predictable, it was Roger Palmer, partly because he was my dad's favourite player. My dad took me when I was 7 and said, "Oh, you've got to see this player. He's called Roger Palmer. He's brilliant." I thought it was called Roger Farmer for quite a few weeks, but yeah, and he scored in my very first game and scored in a lot of games after that. But yeah, just the way he was so humble and the opposite of a lot of footballers these days, not arrogant at all, really understated, didn't over celebrate. Yeah, but also, of course, a brilliant player, brilliant goal scorer.
I went 2 years after you and he scored on my first game and he was my favourite player as well, all for the same reasons. What is your favourite ever away game?
Obviously, I knew you were going to ask me this and I was thinking about this. And there's loads I've really enjoyed, but I think it's got to be York away in the playoffs last season. One, because I was one of the very privileged few, I think only about 1,200 people got tickets, and it was the build up to the spectacle, queuing for the tickets to make sure we got some, and loads of phone calls and messages going off and everyone trying to get tickets for each other, and taking the morning off work to do that, taking the afternoon off work to go down. So excited. And I actually thought we were going to win. But obviously, I don't think even me, as an eternal optimist, thought we'd win 3-0 and be 3-0 up. And at 3-0, I was the most nervous I've ever been at any football match. I just kept thinking, we're going to throw this away. We're going to concede it. We're going to panic. We're going to bottle it. And even on like 90 minutes, I was thinking, oh, we could still throw this away. And everyone was celebrating. And yeah, it was just unbelievable. Because obviously we knew we were going Wembley. And I was there with my dad. I was there with my son. I was there with my best mates, my brother-in-law. And it was just brilliant. Amazing day, evening.
Yeah. Let's listen to this stat before I ask you the last question. We have won 16 games this calendar year out of 52 that we've played. 3 of them in that spell that you just talked about.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, is it? Give us a little known fact about yourself, fan guest.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I've been on a couple of times before, so I had to think of something new. So I have scored a goal on Spanish soil in an 11-a-side game, in a Vets game that we have over there every year near Barcelona, which makes it sound a much better standard than it is. But I rose like a salmon and scored a bullet header from a corner. So not many people can say they've scored on international duty in Barcelona, can they? So, yeah.
Did you shout goal?
Because anyone who listens, I tell them about it, and obviously exaggerate the goal every time.
Did you win?
We lost that game, actually. We lost that game 4-3, but yeah, we won this year. That was the season before, but yeah.
Nice one. All right.
Who
Who are you?
My name's Ben Courtney. Latics fan of 40 years, season ticket holder of 40 years. My dad took me from when I was 7, and now I go with my 11-year-old son, as well as my dad. So, yeah. Ben Courtney 77 on the Twitter feed, I think.
And here we are. The last football match you went to, Latics match you went to, was Milton Keynes Dons away. A collective whoop of joy went around the country when the Milton Keynes were drawn, preceded by Oldham Athletic, absolutely buzzing for it. We were sure we were going to get a win. It was pretty much nailed on. What went wrong? How could we possibly lose at a ground that we've never won at again?
Yeah, I watched the draw with my son, and you know what it's like with the draw. You know, a team comes up, and I think it was someone like Boreham Wood that came up before MK Dons, and I'm like, please God, no, not that. And it wasn't, and we breathed a sigh of relief, and then MK Dons came up, and I just thought it's going to be us, isn't it? And already been to it this season, so didn't really have loads of interest in going. Knew it was one that was going to be tough for us, and obviously we all want to get to the third round. So yeah, it was a tough one. Although the eternal optimist I am, I felt like we were going to win yesterday. My friends will tell you I say this about every game, but I really thought we'd win. I thought they'd rest players. I thought we'd be up for it because Mellon's good in the cup games and the one-off games. I quite like the team in terms of the personnel he picks. I thought he'd go 3-5-2, although it obviously ended up a bit different than that with only really one up front. And we started well, in my opinion. The first 10 minutes, I thought, we're playing well here. We had a couple of chances, playing on the front foot, got a couple of crosses in, a couple of half chances. But then after that first 10 minutes, it was a bit like Accrington in the way we were good the first 10 minutes and then nothing in the rest of the game. And they just started to dominate. We sat back. They're the opposite of Accrington in the way they play football, because I thought they'd moved the ball really well. A lot of pace in the side, a lot of good players, much better players than us on the day. But yeah, we just didn't seem up for it in the end, and they just largely passed us to death, I thought. And yeah, other than a brief resurgence when Fondop came on and obviously did well to win the penalty, I mean, there was no way on earth we should have only been 2-1 down at that point, and they'd had a goal disallowed. Hudson had made a string of fine saves, and I just think, it was a totally fair result. But for us all to make the trip down so close to Christmas, obviously we all wanted a third round tie. They're bound to get like United away or City away or something now, aren't they? And it's just a shame, isn't it? It's just a shame. I'm not in the sensationalist camp of Mellon out, and I'm not being dramatic about it, and I am an optimist, but I didn't think there was a lot of positives in the game. I don't know if you disagree, Matt. Am I being too negative there?
Look, it's a bit like last week. I think when we looked at the team last week, we were like, this is not going to be pretty. The difference that yesterday was when we saw, like you, I thought, oh, hang on a minute. I think he's going to play Drummond up with Mellon up front. He's going to play Stevens in behind, because I thought he's not going to play the same formation that was so bad last week. He wouldn't possibly do that, would he? Surely. And so it looked like on paper a better side, but he did. He played Mellon up front on his own, and he'll say, "Well, listen to him in a minute," but he'll say it was a front three.
Yep.
But the main problem was, and they sussed it out, was there was nobody in behind. There was just a massive hole. So effectively, we played with a back five, and then those Pett and Woods in front of them. So it was effectively a back seven. Yeah. And then there was a big gap in the middle of the pitch, And then you had Mellon up top and Stevens and Drummond sort of out a bit further up. So that big space in the middle of the park behind the strikers in front of the midfield was just empty. So there was no threat. We weren't getting on the ball. We couldn't. That's exactly where we needed Stevens to be, I think, picking up the ball and running at him. And then we needed runners ahead of him, which would have been ideal to have Mellon and Drummond. We needed, if we're going to play 5 in the middle, I thought Robson and Caprice were supposed to be playing as wing backs, surely. And they should have been playing really high up the pitch and pushing MK Dons back. And they didn't. They hardly ventured over the halfway line, did they? At all?
Agreed.
Like it was just. It did not make any sense at all. Like, and it was just a case of rinse and repeat. Change the personnel, play the same system.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, it didn't work. But like you said, we played a much better side who exploited the areas of the pitch where we didn't have the ball, and it was a canter for them really at the end of the day. And it was only, like you said, it was only when you brought Fondop on and you actually had some aggression in the front line. Like if you're going to play a man up front on his own, play Fondop, because he's the only one who's going to sort of shrug people off and cause a bit of an issue. Mellon hated that job, I think, yesterday on his own. I think he did not want to be playing in that role. Didn't suit him, didn't suit the team.
Nope.
And I think for the second week running, we can honestly say that Mickey Mellon got it wrong. I think if he plays the system that we've said, which he said, the 2 up top, Stevens in behind, and just have a go in the FA Cup, try and win the bloody game. If that game ends 3-3 or 4-3, either way, we're going to come away going, "Oh, well, that was a good game. We had a good go."
Yeah.
But as it was just shite. It was just miserable to watch. Did you listen to it or anything, Andy? Or
I've listened to the game, but I've not listened to Mellon's interview. Play it. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, should we have a listen to it? Yeah, because I mean, there was not a great deal of there wasn't a great deal of optimism or enthusiasm around the Stadium NK yesterday, which was 90% empty yesterday. It was absolutely it's so grim. Like if I never have to go there again, I'll be happy. Anyway, here's Mickey Mellon.
Mickey, disappointed end to the FA Cup campaign this afternoon. How do you reflect on that?
First of all, beaten by a very good team that have got loads and loads of qualities, and they showed them today. We probably at vital times missed the sort of qualities that we needed to come to a place like this and get something. When we went a bit direct, more direct, sort of like 10-15 minutes to go, we caused them more problems. But on the whole, we, in terms of effort and fight, they'll always do it. We'll always fight and scrap and run around. But we, in games like these and challenges like today, we have to show more quality.
After a relatively close first half, was the timing of that first goal and the manner of it particularly disappointing?
Yeah, it was disappointing because from a set play, we probably made a poor decision leading up to it, where we could have played forward and sort of we tried to dribble our way out of it. Get caught and it ends up with a corner. We think it's a foul on Simeon as well, which we didn't probably get the rub of the green with any of them today. But to lose a goal from a set play at the time we did was, especially as I say, the size of the challenge coming to a place like this is disappointing.
Starts for Jack Stevens and Kane Drummond this afternoon, change of shape as well. Was that to be able to factor them into the lineup, or is that a reflection?
Absolutely, they're a good team. You have to come here and respect that they're a good side. They have loads of quality all over the pitch, and we have to make sure that we got players to their players and tried to put them under pressure. I still expected us I came here today to get a result, expect us to do that. But like I say, we didn't show the qualities when needed at vital times to go and get something.
Good to have a midweek game now to respond.
Yeah, maybe you always want to play football, you want to get going again, that's for sure. And it'll be the same message again, that we will fight, we will scrap, we will do all that kind of stuff, but we've got to show more qualities. Whether that's a little final pass or a little holding the ball up or a little layoff or playing out from the back, or defending better. We just have to ramp up the quality of that side of things now.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Mickey, I think you said after the last game against Accrington last week that you are capable of staying in games. You just sometimes lack the quality at the top end of the pitch. Is that how you saw it today as well?
Just the top end of the pitch was all over. We had moments where we could have got crosses. We could have got moments where we could have, midfield players could have picked out a better pass. With moments in defensive areas where we could have showed more composure. So, all over really. We have to ramp up our quality with the ball, show more composure. If you want to use them as a benchmark today, you have to go up to that type of level.
When you make changes like you did, including changing the shape, what do you learn about your side in a game like this?
Well, it wasn't anything drastic that we changed. We just went with 2 up front. We had 3 up front to start with, so it wasn't nothing drastic. We went a wee bit more direct. We had 2 big guys up front, and maybe that's the answer. Maybe we just get it up to them as quickly as we can and go and try and feed it off them, because we wanted to come here today and try and play football, but we were lacking a wee bit in that type of game. But when we sort of forced it into the more direct game, we looked a bit more threatening.
It's part of the frustration with the goals that you conceded, that you did the first job in defending your box. You just got caught out on the edge of the area twice.
Well, I think that, let's be fair, that's an unbelievable bit of quality the boys struck it with. That's great quality, and that's the difference. Quality players do these types of things to you. Good players do that, and they're littered with quality players. I don't like going on about budgets and stuff, but that's the sort of quality that you get when you're shopping in that type of place. I hold my players in high esteem, and I have the bar raised high for them, and if we're going to close the gap, we have to get better at all the things that I've just told you.
And when you go to, Dan, you see the 3 substitutes that they bring on, does it maybe just show the amount of resource and difference that they have in the strength and depth that they had on the bench today?
Yeah, I'm careful to answer that one correctly, because then it looks like that's... Listen, we came here today to try and get something. We know that they're littered with absolute quality. We knew it was going to be a game where we would have to get an awful lot right. We turned it into a battle at the end, and we didn't get quite the rubber of green to maybe get that equaliser. But in terms of working hard and all the qualities that our boys have, they showed that. But we have to be better with the ball. If you're going to compete against teams like this, then you have to show better qualities with the ball.
On the substitutes, you did bring 2 big strikers on, and they did really change things at the top. Mike winning a penalty as well.
Yeah, I thought that it did. I thought that we could have actually we made a poor decision right at the end, and it was 2-1, where we could have probably just fired it back into them again and had a battle for it, had a fight for it, but we didn't. We tried to go through the eye of a needle. Possibly a poor decision, and they broke on us and they got the third. But no, the 2 boys that went on up front fought and scrapped and won their headers and made it difficult for them. And we might be disappointed watching it back that we didn't maybe make more of that.
And attention turns back to the league now, and that's going to be focused for the rest of the season, being out of the competition. Is that maybe a bit of a blessing sometimes, that you can just focus on maybe pushing up towards those playoff positions now?
We wanted to do well in the FA Cup. The other 2 cups was too much for us for the strength and depth of the squad that we've got. It was far too much. We're not ready for that yet. But we wanted to do well in this competition, and we're out. So we're disappointed about that. So the only thing we've got to think about now is the game on Wednesday. And we'll go into that game, and we'll definitely turn up, and we will definitely compete, and we will definitely run around, because we'll always do that. But we'll be urging the boys, when you do get into the areas, when you do get the opportunities to play forwards, shows a bit of class and a bit of quality in order to in these types of games to get something from it, because that is the difference.
And just a word on Walsall, if I can, what do you expect from them on Wednesday night?
I'm not really ready to talk about them yet, but we know it'll be a difficult game because they're at the right end of the table, and we need to show the right qualities with the ball in order to make a good fist of it. But one thing I guarantee is we'll give them a right good game.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
We're the fire experts, fire safety experts at Pendle New Tech. We train fire marshals, fire safety marshals at Pendle New Tech.
Pendle New Tech have fire experts across the UK, covering all your local and national needs. With over 100 years experience in the fire safety industry, you know that you can trust
Pendle New Tech.
Right, enough of that now.
What do we make of that, lads? I mean, there was a lot of stuff that I agree with. You know, we do need to show more quality. There are decisions that aren't necessarily made very well, but I think that I just don't think that we set up right again for 2 games running, and that frustrates me because we could have done a lot of the things that he was saying at the beginning of the that happened towards the end of the game from the start. We could have given them something to think about right from the beginning, and we didn't. We just played into their hands. We made it far too easy. He's talking about picking out passes and finding people ahead of you. You've got to have people ahead of you. If you've got Pett and Wood sitting in front of the back four, and Robson and Caprice playing deep, the only option is to punt it. And when we actually started to look a threat, we had 2 forwards up top, and he put Hannon in behind the 2 strikers, which is where, when we were having joy with Hammond playing in that position behind 2 strikers, behind Garner and Mellon, we were having joy. So the formation that we were actually, I think that's where I'm coming from. I'm not suggesting that I know how to set the team up better than Mickey Mellon. What I'm saying is, when we've been doing well in recent weeks, that's the formation. We've had 2 fellas up front, and we've had somebody in behind, and we've been a lot more dangerous. We've had 1 holding midfielder, not 2, and he's now reverted it. The manager's reverted it to something else, and it doesn't seem to be working, and that's where the frustration comes in. Andy, what are your thoughts, mate?
He mentioned a budget, right? There was an article on something called Football League World, right? I don't know if you've ever come across it before. It's basically like an online-only publication, which reports on things in the Football League, and it listed it listed on this Football League World the annual budgets per season, and you got to assume that their editorial is they seem like a pucker outfit as opposed to just some joker online sticking some random numbers there when I've had a look. And they were talking about MK Don's budget being up north of £5 million a year in terms of salary. That doesn't include the amount of money they paid in transfer fees, and ours will be somewhere between 2.5 million thereabouts. And so, yeah, we're operating on half the money, but that's just the way it is. It is the case. And when we drew MK Dons, and I'd already been there once this season, and I knew it was going to be rattling around an empty, stadium. I was like, I'm not going there again. We're going to get beat. We're definitely going to get beat. They're too good. They're going to get. We're almost lucky we got them on the opening game where they weren't ready. And now they're third in the table. They're flying. They'll go up for sure. We'll go out. And so it's disappointing. But at the same time, I keep sort of just consoling myself or reminding myself of where we were a year ago. And that's how I keep looking at it. I'm like, 1 year ago, we were just about to start a stinking period as Conlon got injured and we lost Clucas and Norwood started getting injured and we were looking fragile and getting beat and not winning very much. And that's where that stat comes from, like 16 wins out of 52 in a whole calendar year is because we just weren't very good apart from the playoffs. And then obviously when we play the bottom teams in our league, we can compete, Newport and what have you. And that sort of gives me some comfort that we're unlikely to go down. Although the next month, if you look at the fixtures we've got some right stinkers coming up. So we may get dragged back down in a little bit, I think, probably. But I don't fancy us to be, worried. I think there'll be 3, 4, 5, maybe half dozen teams worse than us without any worry. But we are miles off the top 7. I've never thought for a minute. And I predicted the middle of the pack at the start of the season. I think that's probably right. Maybe slightly worse than I was being slightly over optimistic, saying 12th, thinking we might be 17th or something like that. But then you say to yourself, what's your expectations? What's a reasonable expectation for a team that absolutely brought it together for 3 games, having not really gone into the playoffs with any form last season, having been 20 odd points behind a team that Ben said it's his favourite away game? You're like, it's about as much as we can hope for. So, I guess this season's just going to be one of consolidation, and we're going to have to just accept it. You sort of.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Andy. In general speaking, but for me, I think it'd be interesting to see. I think what Ben thinks of this. But in the last couple of games, I think we've made our own problems. Last week at Accrington, that game was there to win. That game was there to win, set the team up to win, to score goals and win the game. He's gone there and he's wanted a scrap. He's expected it to be ugly. He's played one up top. He's made changes that did not work, and it's frustrated me. And it's frustrated a lot of other fans. And then he's done set the team up again the same way. And it's an FA Cup match, and I just think that I know that the players didn't deliver what he wanted them to deliver, but I don't think he set them up to deliver it either. So Ben, are you feeling optimistic that like we're going to be okay over this? Because like Andy said, it's going to be a difficult month. We've got some really tough games. Or is there cause for concern in terms of the performances over the last couple of games?
I agree with some or a lot of what you've both said. I mean, I accept we scraped up into League Two, and we're also grateful for that. And as you've said on the podcast before, it looks really tough and really tight in the National League now. It would have been really difficult with teams like Rochdale and Carlisle, York, and Forest Green all being so consistent and good. So we probably would have struggled this season. We got up by the skin of our teeth. However, we got up and there was great momentum around the team and the club and the squad and such good feeling. And I just feel like we should have pushed on. And I'm not sort of subscribing to that League Two's a million times better than the National League. I really don't think it is. I've not seen many teams totally outclass us. MK Dons, I'll give you. Swindon for 20 minutes and Notts County. Other than that, we've been in it and we've been close in every game. And I know all the stats around if we go in front, we win the game. If we go behind, we probably don't. And that's probably true of a lot of football. But I just think that and I don't want to go into this Mickey Mellon's negative, Mickey Mellon's conservative. I think he is a bit. I think it works away from him and we'll get some 1-0s. But I think he's so reluctant to have a go at teams, and there's so much respect for teams, above and beyond what they deserve. No offence to Aki. I know I work with Aki fans, great club, punching above the weight and everything. But why are we going there and setting up for a 0-0? And as you said on the podcast, Matt, we're lowering ourselves to that standard of football. We knew they were a big, strong side. So we're going to try and be a big, strong side rather than trying to outplay them on the back of a brilliant second half against Newport, where attacking 4-4-2 scored 3 goals. Why suddenly, let's go and defend? And I understand against MK Dons, whatever, show them a bit of respect, but they're still only MK Dons. We're not playing a top flight Premiership team. We can have a go at them. And that first 10 minutes we got at them, and if we'd have scored that first 10 minutes, it was a stupid thing to say because we didn't. But I would have been really interested to see what would have happened then, because we would have got loads of confidence. We would have been in front. And I'm not being unrealistic saying that. Mellon got in behind once and had a good chance and somehow passed it back to the keeper. Caprice had a good shot from the edge of the box. Caprice got a good ball in that. If it had been Fond up on the end of it, he would have probably broke the back of the net. But Mellon maybe didn't fancy the header quite as much. And the personnel for the team, I was all right with mainly. It was mainly what I wanted. I said 3-5-2, but it ended up, as you said, Matt, one up front. Michael Mellon is a lot of things. He's not a lone striker. He's not strong enough. He don't work hard enough. He's not good enough in the air. That's not an insult. That's just a fact. I think he has to play in a 2. If you'd have had Drummond sort of alongside him, it might still not have been the perfect partnership because you still haven't really got anyone winning the headers and holding it up. But give him a chance. Everyone virtually booed him off yesterday. There's a few people near me cheering when he got taken off. And I think the problem is he's not adhering himself to Latics players because he don't look like he's grafting. He don't look like he's working hard. I know it's been brought up on the pod before. And I think the problem is he don't look like he's working hard. If he's not scoring goals, his movement's really good, I think. He's really, really clever player. He gets next to no service at all. And people don't necessarily see that. They see Mellon, what's he done today? And you got Fondop comes on and grafts his backside off and wins the penalty. And that, it fills you with, he probably hasn't got anywhere near the ability of Michael Mellon. Michael Mellon might end up being a championship player or something, whereas Fondop is probably at the level he's going to ever be. But at least Fondop comes on and gives you 110%. And when we've put in all that effort to go to these games, getting pissed on at Accrington in a dismal open away end and just seeing that shower in the morning, and then yesterday travelling all the way down to London, spending all that money before Christmas, not quite London, but you know what I mean. And as a fan, you just want something back. You just want the effort. And formations are one thing, but they're a bit of a red herring because that formation could have been more of a 3-5-2. as you said, Matt, get your wing backs high, get someone up alongside Mellon. The two number 10s should allow us to play two holding midfielders like Pett and Woods. You know, if they're there keeping it tight, screening the defence, playing it simple, the number 10s, Drummond and Stevens, could have got involved. And I don't think they did. They seemed to go really wide, didn't they? I thought, and almost one was playing left wing, right wing. They got in behind.
It never works, Ben. It never works when we play that. That's the thing.
So
that's why I'm frustrated with him, because I think he's gone to a system that doesn't work. Where prior we were playing with a system that we were getting some benefit from. And I posted a tweet yesterday that I think that when Joe Garner's not fit, he doesn't feel like he's got a front two pairing that he can play. And I think that's what it is. I think that's why he's doing it. I don't think he could. Well, I mean, Andy, would you play Mellon and Fondop? Would you play Mellon and Quigley? Would you play Quigley and Fondop? You know what I mean? When Garner's there, Garner will complement any of them as a second striker. And I don't think that and this is down to recruitment ultimately, but I don't think that there is a front two that he wants to go with, which is why he's changed the formation to the way it is.
Excuse me. Right. So I'll come back to when I agree with almost everything Ben said. Then it was incredibly well articulated, and I think he nailed the subject matter very well. The only point I'll raise is, and this is what I was leading to before, is I think a lot of recruitment for this season was already in hand before the playoffs were even commenced. I think a lot of the players that he'd lined up Kieran Morris. He was chasing Jack Stevens very early on. Maybe Ryan Woods even, because he's played for him before. So we'd have had this squad. Maybe Robson possibly was the outsider. I don't know. And Quigley maybe, because they were done very late. But a lot of the players that he signed were I think already being discussed. So we'd have had this squad in the division below. And I kind of agree with Ben. Like the top half of National League and the bottom half of League Two, there's a toss of a coin between them. I think since we last were in League Two, I think because I thought League Two was absolutely dreadful when we were in it last time. Like markedly worse than League One that we've been in for 21 years. Let's put it that way. But I think what League Two, the top end of League Two, has definitely got better, and they're just a bit more physical. They're fitter, they're faster, they're more physical than they were last time around, from my memory at least. And so I think we've got a lot of these players here that were probably going to be signed whatever division we were in, and I think that's caught up with us a little bit, because had we had more time to plan for this season, knowing we were already in League Two, I suspect a few of them he might not have signed and have been working on others potentially. And I think that's part and parcel of it for me. Is I just say to myself every now and again, because I'm disappointed. I agree with you both. Like Mellon should take some flack for the way he's definitely Accrington. Yesterday I was less bothered about on the basis that I expected to get beat anyway. But Accrington was a real disappointment because they're beneath us in the table and we should be able to compete with them home or away. It's not to say I expect us to win every game, but we should have done better than we did. And he's got to take the flak for that. And he does need to let the shackles off, especially at home, because his record at Boundary Park is shockingly bad. His away record's pretty good. But I think I just keep sort of reminding myself that, like I said, where we were a year ago and the budget constraints, and then I was going to lead to, there was an article yesterday on Exeter City. I don't know where, and we interviewed Exeter City years ago, Matt, you might remember. They're one of the very few fan-owned clubs. And I interviewed one of the guys on the board of directors, and he told us how they'd done it, and Exeter is an absolute amazing story of success of being fan owned and getting out of National League into League One and being an established League One club. But they've had to loan their football club $600,000 this year because they can't pay the bills. They very recently have had to beg Birmingham City to pay them a part of the transfer fee or down payment or whatever it was on Jay Stansfield, who's obviously Birmingham's most expensive player. They've obviously got payments to come, and they've had to get one forwarded or brought forward, a bit like Corney would have done when he was selling on sell-on clauses for James Tarkowski. So you see how really difficult it is, and because Exeter have had a few players like, is it Ethan Ampadu and the lad at Villa who plays for England, and they've had all this where their academies brought through these players and they've got sell-on fees, which has allowed them to grow themselves. And then you got to remind yourself, we had years and years and years of our academy being run arguably poorly, and then we didn't even have one. And so you've got all of these issues backing up. And it's going to take time. And so I just keep saying to myself, we could be in National League now with the same squad we've got now, definitely not in the top 5 of that division, or top 4 or 5 of that division, looking at potentially another season beyond this one, still in National League, still with no academy, racking up £3 million worth of debt, as every season passes pretty much. And it just becomes unsustainable. Whereas in the Football League, we've got the Football League income, which is well in excess of what you would earn down there. We've got our academy back to start bringing players through. And I just say to myself, it's frustrating. I want us to be good. My lad's got the, I don't know if you've got the Football League sticker book. My 2 lads have got the sticker book. And my eldest lad's going through it going, "Yeah, Dad, did you know we've got the 5th biggest ground in League 2? And I'm like, yeah, it's because we're a League 1 club, really, mate. And he's like, yeah, we're massive, aren't we? I'm like, yeah, but we're near the bottom. Why are we near the bottom then? Well, it's a long story. It goes back a long way. And if you keep reminding
when you're older,
that,
there's a whole podcast a series of podcasts you can listen to. Yeah.
But you just keep reminding myself of that situation. Now, could Mellon have done better with the way he sets the team up? Could Mellon have done better with recruitment? Yeah. Because, you talk about you just asked me a minute ago, the question that this rant started on was, who would you play up front? Well, I just don't think Mellon is, I think, probably our most capable and gifted striker, but he's a 21-year-old kid, and he's just not going to perform. He get that lazy moniker. You can understand, having watched him now for a few games, where that lazy moniker comes from at Burnley, can't you? I think it's a bit unfair because, like Ben, I see him make very intelligent runs, pivot, spin, get in behind. Norwood did the same. I like Norwood's movement. He was a class above everybody else, but nobody found him often. So I can see the same with Mellon. But if you look at the strikers we've got, I don't like Quigley. I wouldn't have signed him. I don't fancy him. That's a personal opinion. He plays periodically well, but he's not for me. He's not a top end League 2. He's a bottom end League 2, top end National League striker. We are where we are because of those types of signings, not just him. Kane Drummond is a gamble, and is he a striker or a winger? Mike Fondop is I love Mike's endeavour, and to your point, he probably deserves a start, the lad. I would play in the next game Mellon and Fondop next to each other. Let Fondop really put some effort, show how people to lead the way effort-wise, and see if Mellon can have a little bit of craft and guile in and around him, picking up and scoring goals. But Fondop is a limited footballer, right? And I won't have it any other way. The lad cannot do much more than he's doing. He's literally performing at the peak of his ability right now. And love him, bless him, squeeze him. But that's where we are. And Joe Garner is 38, and you cannot rely on him, and he's on a 6-month contract. So I think where it comes down to for me is the only signing that I've really, really liked over the summer is Jamie Robson. Ryan Woods, take him or leave him. Kieran Morris, rubbish. Hawks, he's showed a cameo role here and there, but that hasn't been particularly consistent. Joe Quigley, no, not for me. Jake Leaks, okay, but again, unreliable fitness-wise. Donovan Daniels, I have liked at various points, but has become a little bit inconsistent. Simeon, don't know anything about him, young lad at the minute. It's the only one who I'm looking at going, that's a good signing, that is Jamie Robson. So I think for me, it's just going to be get through to the end of the season. Don't get dragged into the bottom 6. Take stock over the summer, and it's going to be an interesting squad pod when we're firing players off.
Well, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be interesting between now and then as well, because I agree with you in terms of the big picture, but in order for points of conversation on every podcast, I think we have to sort of dig into the here and now, don't we? We have to question things like the manager and decisions and formations, because that's what football fans do. That's normal. This is what people listening to the podcast would want us to do. And Ben, you were nodding appreciatively there of the suggestion that Mellon and Fondop played together on Wednesday in what is going to be a very, very difficult game. Walsall won today in the FA Cup. They were on a really good run. Yeah, right at the top.
It's going to be a tough game. I was applauding silently when Andy said Fondop and Mellon, because that would be my front two. I think you've got to give Mellon a chance. He's got to have someone alongside him. It's all right blaming him, but he gets very little service. You see how in small patches how he's linked up with Garner with a flick on for, him playing on the shoulder. Garner's flick for the second Northampton goal. But how many chances like that has he really had? I know he hit the post 2 or 3 times, but he's not had a lot of chances, not had a lot of service. What you get from Fondop is he wins headers, he holds it up, he lays it off, he works hard. Totally agree with Andy. He's not an exceptional footballer. I will never, ever say he is. I don't think he is. But he gives you everything. He gives you everything. And I think he's got to try. Gaz Pelosa, who's always putting stuff on Twitter, said that we don't have a front two who have played together for any length of time. So how can they possibly form a partnership? And it's true, and I know why, because of all the reasons Andy's just said. None of them are out and out like brilliant, or you definitely have those two. And I bet you'd get several different answers from several different people. But I'd play 3-5-2, a proper 3-5-2 with your wing backs Robson and Caprice, or I'd happily have Robson and Drummond as right wing back as high as you can. Pett and Woods are screening the back three, so no problem. That back three, and by the way, the back three, I wouldn't have Simu. I'd have Sutton, because I thought Simu was nervy yesterday. I don't want to slag the lad off because he's hardly played for us and he's hardly played football, but I didn't see anything he did yesterday that Sutton couldn't do and that Sutton couldn't do better. And I think near the end of the game, Mellon and other fans probably agreed. So we might as well invest in one of our own and give someone who was in good form a chance. So I'd have Robson and Caprice, or Robson and Drummond high. We've got 2 holding midfielders, so you can have a number 10 like Stevens running around, or Hammond when he's fit. Have 2 out-and-out strikers, and let's have a go at them, I know it's Walsall, isn't it? We played them a million times in League One and got plenty of results against them. I know we're not in League One now, but neither are they. But again, we're not playing Barcelona. We're at home. Let's make it a tough place to play. Let's have a go at them. I'd rather have a go at them, like you said, Matt, and lose, I don't know, 2-1, 3-2, 4-3, Harry Kewell style, than try and just slug out a 1-0 and probably end up losing 1-0. Let's have a go at him, and let's give Mellon a chance up front with someone who can actually flick it on for him, and he can play on the shoulder.
Well, we know from the stats that if we go behind against Walsall, chances are we're going to lose the game. The counter argument to having a go is that if you open up too much, chances are they will go ahead. But even when we try and play it tight, we go up behind anyway, like we did at Accrington. So there's got to be a little bit more belief in your players going forward, but you've got to play in a way that suits them. And I just think that that if you're playing with a back three and you're playing with 2 holding midfielders, the reason you're playing with the 2 holding midfielders is to give you a back 5 when you need it, and so that's why you push your wing backs on. Now, whether or not Mellon was pulling his hair out because he wanted them forward, or maybe it was just the way MK Dons were playing, they were just getting the better of our defenders and sort of making them worry too much. But we've got to start having a go. It's going to be tough, and I think the thing is now that obviously Mellon's contract is up at the end of the season, and when we start losing games, fans start asking the questions. Because we've been asking it for a long time. We've been saying that there was signs earlier on in the season. We thought, what. We were encouraging for Mellon to sign a new deal,
but there seems no point. I mean, a couple of games, you go for a little bad run. This month might be a tough month. Like I said, so long as we don't get any drag near to the bottom, I don't see any reason not to give him another contract. He's earned the right to give another contract. He was recruiting players because he didn't know we were going to necessarily go up. So you've got to give him some leeway on that. The criticisms of the way he plays, the style he plays, the record at home, all that, they're there. I agree with them. But I don't see any point at this moment in time. I mean, if you could do a deal with him where you gave him a 1-year extension, you gave him a 1-year contract on top of this one with an option for another year, that's the ideal solution probably. Whether he wants that or whether he would demand a 2-year contract is then up for debate. But I don't see any reason to change my opinion on that. There's no need for knee-jerk reactions. And who are you going to get anyway? You've got to wait for the academy to bring players through. You've got to try and recruit for the position we're in now, not the position we didn't know we were going to be in. It is what it is. You have got to look at the bigger picture just to make a bit of a calm decision about it. There's no point 100%. Chucking your toys out the pram.
Yeah, but we're just relaying the thoughts of the fans. I mean, some people. Ben, you mentioned about being on Twitter there. Obviously, there's some people calling for him to be gone because we've been beaten by Accrington and MK Dons, which is obviously ridiculous. I mean, the club will make a decision on his contracts and whatnot. Like you say, you've got to bring the right. I always think, look, if there's somebody better out there that you can bring in, then you would for the club. But if you think Mickey Mellon's the right man at the right time, then they'll carry on with him. I think we've just got to get behind the team. We've got to get behind the manager and what the club are doing, because like you said, Andy, on the whole, everything's a damn sight better than it was a year ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Keep going back as long as you like, really. It's a lot better than it has been for a long, long time. So bit of perspective, bit of patience and all that is needed. But it's hard though. Like, it's hard. It's been, the last 2 games have been a hard watch. Like, there's not been much to get excited about, so it's we need a good performance now against Warsaw. Well, we do, because otherwise we'll get beat, and we'll get beat relatively easily. And our home form is poor, so it's going to take a big. Hopefully there'll be a good crowd. Hopefully a good number will turn out to cheer them on. I reckon. I don't know. Have Warsaw sold many tickets? Has anyone noticed?
Well, the top of the league, you'd hope they bring 1,000, wouldn't you? They're a proper club, so you'd hope they bring 1,000 with them. So there should be a reasonable number.
Yeah.
The other things is, like, you could touch upon as well is, obviously you got the Sports Town thing in the background, which obviously we talked about Andy Birdham's Office of the Week. So that's sort of omnipresent. But then you think about other things like, the club trying to generate revenue into the club from different routes and sources, and also then doing that initiative to open the club on Christmas Day. Right? I mean, how good is that? You read that and you're like, that's superb. I absolutely love that. Like a proper club being part of its community. It's got a long-term off the football field plan. You're like, I just relax when I see stuff like that. It's run by proper people doing really good things for the club. Obviously, you've got these shirts that you've had a bit of a comment about, but from my perspective, they're generating some revenue into the club. So, like, initiatives like that can be a good thing as well. So they're trying to increase budget. So, I'm just going to relax a little bit and be thankful for what we've got, not annoyed because of what we haven't.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, perspective. We've got a lot of perspective when it comes to what's been going on. But I mean, we have to talk about something, don't we? And Ben, yeah, you had a thumbs down there when it came to the shirts. I've got my opinions on it. What do you think? Because I mean, tell you what, yeah, they're really nice. They've done a really good job on them.
There's no doubt they're nice, and for people our age, particularly, they're iconic, aren't they, from a magic time in the club's history. I just, it's an opinion. I don't agree with the price of them. I don't agree with things that are limited edition, because it puts like a pressure on people, that this false pressure that you've got to buy them now or they're gone and they're never coming back, which they might never do. I just think, rather than getting 300 shirts and selling them at 80 quid, get 1,000, 1,500, sell them at something reasonable before Christmas. And I know you commented on me saying 25 quid, Matt, as if you were, or it might have been you, Andy, on the We Are Oldham handle, as if that was ridiculous. And maybe it is in this day and age, but 80 quid's a lot of money. Oldham's a working class town. A lot of people don't have that sort of money before Christmas. A lot of people couldn't go and queue up on a Friday. I couldn't, because I was at work. At least I'd done it on a Saturday morning. But I just think, good idea, badly executed, in my opinion. I've emailed the club about it, so I'll see what they say. And I think, Can I do the
counter argument? Like, what happens? Yeah. What happens if? And I don't know this, by the way. I'm just speculating. I literally don't know. But what happens if the manufacturer that they've worked with to produce these can only do a short run, right? And that they haven't got the capacity to produce thousands of them, so they can only do a short run. You buy a short run. The short run means that the manufacturing costs are higher, so therefore, in order to earn the margin you want to earn, therefore the retail price is going to have to be 80 quid. And if you do limited edition, then that can add a little bit to it. Like, there may be practical reasons why that's the case.
To the best of my knowledge, none of that's the case, because I did have a conversation about these shirts a while ago, and I basically said, but I said they're great, they look fantastic. They said about doing the limited edition thing, and I said I don't see why. So you're just going to end up with like 300 really happy fans and then however many thousands of unhappy fans. It just doesn't seem to make any sense. So, like, there was a conversation about that they could do. In fact, I'm pretty sure the conversation they had that they said they were going to. Well, there was two prices. There was the limited edition ones, and then there was the sort of a standard price, and the standard price was more around about 40, 50 quid, like normal price of a shirt sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, to do it like that, release it so quickly as well, and it's just like, boom, there you go. And it has a bit of revenue driver for the club. There's no doubt about that. But I think, I used to have one of them shirts. I wore it to death, obviously. Like, even if I had it now, it won't fit me, obviously. But, like, it would be nice to be able to get one of those again. And I just think giving as many fans as the opportunity as possible to do it. I mean, when OASF did it, for example, and OASF did it, and the club have got the capacity to do a lot more than OASF. They did it on a pre-order, and you were ordering exactly the amount that you wanted. Exactly the right sizes, not left with a load of XXL or whatever. So there's there's just, there are loads of ways of doing it to make sure that a good number of fans get them. People want to buy all of the 3 shirts every season. People will spend the money. As myself personally, as an older gentleman, Andy, I don't know about yourself and you, Ben, we're all about the same age, but like I'd rather wear the older kits. I'd rather wear the kits from my year. I'm not bothered about the new kits, like the ones that they don't sort of ring the same bell. So I think there's an audience of middle-aged blokes, particularly who like the older retro kits, who'd rather wear those than the new ones and stuff. So it'd be nice if they took a lot of this stuff on board and maybe reconsidered it going forward, because I know that this is probably going to be not the only one they'll ever do. They'll probably do some others as well, and it's great that they've been able to get the license from Umbro to do it. So, like, just seems to me like, yeah, you've done a great job of making 300 people really happy, but the rest of the people are a bit sort of miffed that they've not got the opportunity in, and I just don't see why that needed to happen. Basically,
well, I mean, if you could have sold 2,000 of them at 40 quid instead of 300 of them at 80, and that's much better.
And of course they could, made more money for the club. So
exactly, but I'm
order them online, whatever. So I just think like. Well, I put a tweet out saying they asked my opinion, right? It doesn't. My opinion is here nor there. Whatever, you don't have to listen to what I said, but I did say that if you do this, it will piss a lot of fans off, and it has. So I don't quite understand why you would do that, knowing that was going to be the reaction. But what fans care more about is winning games of football at the end of the day. So we're not going to hold up this over. We're not really. It's whatever. It would be nice, but it's not the end of the world. But not getting twatted by Walsall on Wednesday would be really, really nice. That's more important. So let's focus on Wednesday night, but let's focus also on Latics Mine, because we're at that time in the show where, Ben, you've got to do your thing. You've been on a couple of times before. Have you played Latics Mine once or twice?
I think I've played twice and failed miserably both times. I think I got a 1 and a 1, or maybe a 2 and a 1. But I've had a couple of drinks with my tea tonight, so I'm hoping that alcohol helps me do better, like it does when you're playing pool or darts or something like that. I just go in there fearless and aggressive and just go for it and throw out a Paul Gerrard or an Andy Ritchie and just get it right. But probably not. If I improved on my 1, I'd be absolutely over the moon. So let's see.
There's every chance. Are you ready, Andy?
Yeah, ready to go.
Play Latics Mind. Good luck, Ben. Latics Mind is sponsored by Oldham Athletic Supporters Foundation, investing in the fans, the club and the community. Join today at oasf.co.uk for just £12 a year. OASF, because we're stronger together.
Which former Latics fullback finished his glittering career at Wolverhampton Wanderers in the early 2000s?
Dennis Irwin.
Correct. Who was Latics' top scorer in 1998-99 and joint top scorer in 1999-2000?
Steve Whitehall.
It was Mark Allott.
Oh, I was going to say Allott.
Which famous game in Latics history followed this scoring pattern? 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 1-3, 2-3, 2-4, 3-4, 4-4, 5-4.
Peterborough.
Correct. Who am I? I had 2 spells at Latics, and in between, I played for Leicester City, Middlesbrough, and Bradford City.
Lee Duxbury.
Tommy Wright. Against whom did Roger Palmer, our favourite player, score his first Latics top flight goal against?
Portsmouth.
It was QPR away in a 3-1 win. Latics have sold 5 players for £1 million or more. But who was sold for the most?
Ian Olney.
Earl Barrett.
Earl Barrett, of course it was, yeah.
Which influential midfielder scored his last Latics goal, the winner versus Brentford, in January 2003?
Richie Wellens.
You mentioned him already, Lee Duxbury.
Oh, for God's sake.
Who am I? I am a winger who also had spells with Bournemouth and Blackpool.
It's Beresford.
No, it was Alan Groves.
All right, nowhere near. I got 2.
Hey, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's your top score. That nice work. So those pints help you.
And I was going to say Mark Allott, and then I thought, oh no, it's not, and I was wrong. So I'm giving myself a 3.
Yeah, but if we could read your thoughts, then it might have been a higher score. But yeah, we can only give you points for the ones you say out loud, I'm afraid, Ben.
Okay, thanks.
Not bad, though. Not bad. The 5-4 gave it away for Peterborough, didn't it? There's not many 5-4 games, are there?
I thought in my head today before it happened, I thought, just focus on that last result, because you're not going to know any of the other ones. Just think of the last results. And obviously 5-4, I mean, have we ever had 5-4 other than that? Not that I can remember. So, and what a game that was, or what a second half that was.
Yeah, so thanks to Paul Prendergast for sorting us out with the questions, as always. I saw him yesterday. Bastard was wearing one of those Bovis shirts, showing it off. But yeah, no, like I said, they're very nice actually. But I wouldn't care if we played in blue plastic bags as long as we were winning games of football. That's all that matters. So, So we've got 4 points from the next 2 games, lads. A point against Walsall and a win at Crawley. We take that. We're happy with that.
I'd snap your hands off of that. I think that would be a fantastic return. I think we'll struggle against Walsall. I think there'll be a good side, and you'd take a point away from home anyway. So 1 point out of the next 2, I wouldn't be overly worried. But yeah, love 4.
Yeah, I think off the back of the last couple of performances and results, I think we need something to galvanise everybody on Wednesday, and getting a point against what? Look, getting a win would be even better. You never know what's going to happen. Walsall might have a lad sent off in the first 5 minutes, and anything can happen, can't it? In a game of football. So just hope that we just start to beat the teams below us. I was disappointed with Accrington because it was the first time we lost to a team like below us in the league. I think certainly we'd not be beaten by anybody below us in the table at that point in the season. So. It's going to be a tough month, but it's good. It's a good month. I mean, actually now this is the best sort of like football back, return to the Football League kind of set of fixtures in it. We've got Walsall and Tranmere and Chesterfield and Notts County, like decent month of games. Grimsby as well. So it's kind of like we're back, but it's going to be the toughest month of the season for sure. And I don't know if there's ever any questions about Latics over Christmas, but we don't really do very well, do we? As a rule.
No.
So it's not, it's a bit like going to Milton Keynes yesterday. It's kind of like, we went, Ben, and we're eternally optimistic. But in our heart of hearts, we knew we weren't going to come away with anything yesterday. And it's a bit like that over Christmas. I hope we have a very nice festive period, points-wise, but we don't usually. So I don't know. And then it's that whole thing. Then we're going to be seeing, Mickey Mellon. You mentioned we don't have a vast amount of wins under, since he joined the club. And the second half of the season has been well, apart from the obvious last 3 games of last season, but it's not been great in the second half of the season. So there's a lot to muster over. We've a lot to look forward to.
The Boundary Park Alert System is sponsored by Pendle New Tech, a family-run Lancashire business you can rely on for everything fire safety related, including supply and installation, maintenance, testing, certification, alarms, risk assessments, like I said, anything fire safety related. But what do I know? Visit pendle-nu-tech.com and they'll sort you right out. Check the show notes for more information.
Let me ask you one question. If Rochdale came to you and said, look, we've got to relay our pitch, so we can't use Spotland for a few weeks. Can we play at Boundary Park for a month or 2? What would you say?
I'd probably laugh first, like a big evil laugh, and then say no. They're playing at Accrington Stanley, aren't they?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd let them play.
So would I. But for the reasons we discussed before, it's more income for the club, and then we can piss our pants out on whether I'm going to use our ground. I'd definitely, if the prize was right, the rugby aren't on it at the minute. It's holding up well. Get them on it. Yeah, but they're going to Accrington, I think. Yeah.
Do you think they didn't even bother asking because they thought the fans would probably hate it? It would have made more sense because it's running down the road, wouldn't it? It would have made far more sense than Accrington's not far, but Boundary Park's way closer.
My friend who's involved in Bury said that Rochdale asked Bury, but they couldn't agree a price because Bury are on got a really good newly laid ultra modern 4G pitch, haven't they? And apparently Rochdale asked them and they couldn't agree a price. Who knows? Might be a rumour, but that's what he says. But I'd let them play. It's not going to ruin the pitch. We've got a great pitch. As Andy said, extra income. I mean, I don't really have a massive rivalry with Rochdale. I grew up not even playing, and we were 2 or 3 divisions above them, but 4 divisions above them at some points, weren't we? Our rivals were teams like City and Leeds and Blackburn, and later down the line Huddersfield and stuff like that. I don't feel like we've got a massive rivalry with them. It's more just the last 5 or 6 years, isn't it? So yeah, I'd just let them play. But they're going to play at Aki instead, aren't they? So let's see how that goes. Yeah,
there should be some bumper crowds at Accrington. When Rochdale are at home there, shouldn't they? Bloody hell. I mean, they struggle enough at Spotland, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I wouldn't, Andy. Just to be a dick about it. Just because you don't get those opportunities to be, to wield that kind of power very often. Yeah. So, are we? We're looking forward to Wednesday, Ben. Give us a prediction. Yeah. Give us a score prediction.
Latics are going to win. We're going to go for it and we're going to win. 2-1. Going to play 2 up front. Everyone will raise the game because they want to do well against top of the league. The crowd will be up for it and we'll beat them.
There we go. You see, and that, Andy, is why he's had a season ticket for 40 years. That kind of optimism.
Mindless optimism.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's right. I don't see it.
No. Yeah, like we said, I'll take a point. So, anyway, listen, lads, we got here eventually. I didn't come home straight from Milton Keynes last night. I stayed in Birmingham last night. Shout out to Dave Bradby. In Spiral Carpet's gig last night. It was really, really good in Birmingham. Had a great night. Came back up this morning, so we couldn't do the usual time. I want to give a shout out to, I think it was Johnny from Australia who was over, who listens to the podcast and bought me a pint. So thanks for that. I appreciate that. And everyone, I was having a good day. This is what I was saying to Harriet. Like, we had a drive down, we made a weekend of it, went to a football match, bumped into like plenty of people. I had a really nice day, really nice night. I enjoyed it. I mean, the result didn't go our way, the game didn't go our way, but if that was the only reason you did it, you'd never go, would you? Because that's not what it's all about. So bumped into loads of people that I knew. I had a good laugh, I had a good day, and that's what it's all about, isn't it, Ben?
Exactly, and I feel the same. I went down with my son, got some good father-son time. He absolutely loves it. He wanted to go more than me. You know, had a couple of beers on the train. I went out for tea. And I asked him on the train on the way down, I said, what's your prediction today? And he said, Milton Keynes 2, Oldham 0. And I'm like, why do you want to go then? Like, you're convinced Oldham are going to lose, but, you know, that's how he's been brought up. He already knows that football isn't just about the result. You know, he wants to win, obviously, but he knows it's not like United and City fans who expect to win every week. He knows that the reality is we won't win some weeks, and you've got to make the most of it and have a good laugh anyway, haven't you? Because if you let the football result dictate your day, you'd have a lot of very miserable Saturdays, wouldn't you, I'm afraid?
Yeah, you'd never go. Right, that's the spirit. There we go. We ended on a positive. Right, cheers, lads. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Have a great week at work, and we'll see you all on Thursday for the 40. Cheers, guys.
Hey, Dave, did you know that listeners can now buy us a coffee or any other kind of hot beverage? What's your favourite hot beverage, Dave?
A macchiato.
And how do you like your macchiato?
Black with lots of milk. Oh.
No cream?
No.
Well, if you want to buy Dave a
macchiato,
then go to buymeacoffee.com/We Are Oldham. I'll just have a Nescafe.
Oh. Thank you, listeners.